For my Holocaust project, I had Joseph Goebbels, and Joseph Goebbels once said, "If you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes a truth." Joseph Goebbels was born October 29th, 1897, in Rhine, Germany, into a strict Catholic family. His family hoped he would be a priest someday, but he saw his future in writing, and so he went to um, college and majored in philosophy and literature. And his teacher happened to be Jewish. Um, After many failed attempts of writing, as you can see over here, these are some of his failed attempts. Um, he tried to enlist in World War I, and he was rejected because of clubbed foot from polio as a child. So ever since then, his self-hatred and inferiority um, wanted to make him inflict rage, despair, and hatred in others. Joseph Goebbels influenced the Nazi Party and the Holocaust by being the master of propaganda, organizing Kristallnacht, and rallying people to burn books. Joseph Goebbels also stated, "It would not be impossible to prove with sufficient repetition and a psychological understanding of the people concerned that a square is in fact a circle. They are mere words, and words can be molded until they disguise ideas. They clothe ideas in disguise." He joined the Nazi Party in 1922, and where he was an assistant to Gregor Strasser, who was a big person in the Nazi Party. And he joined Hitler in 1926 and became the Nazi district leader for Berlin Brandenburg. And then he became Reich Minister of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda in 1933. Joseph Goebbels played a huge role in censorship and control. He dictated what Germans heard, saw, and read. He had a heavy hand in the movie industry due to affairs with beautiful movie actresses, and Hitler actually saved his marriage because it reflected poorly on the Nazi Party. And this book is called The Poisonous Mushroom, and it's about how Jews are the problem and they're poisonous compared to all the other mushrooms. This is a page from it, and it's about how the Jews have a crooked nose. Goebbels' most important contribution to the Third Reich was his role in the development and dissemination of the pseudo-religious cult-worshipping Hitler. They could get him to listen to anything, and Hitler was portrayed as their savior, and he could bring them out of everything, like all their economy troubles and everything else. Dissemination means to widely spread or distribute something, and this helped spread the Nazi ideology. He made Germans believe that Hitler was their savior, and Hitler could bring them out of all their troubles. This helped the Nazi views stay together, and it made it easier for the people to believe that since Hitler was their savior, it made them easier to believe that the Nazi way was the way to follow. On November 9th, 1938, a teen Jew shot a diplomat, and so this was an excuse for Goebbels to inflict his hatred on others. This resulted in 91 Jews dead, 30,000 concentration camp, 7,000 businesses, and 900 synagogues were destroyed. This map represents the cities where the synagogues were destroyed in Kristallnacht, and some of them were like Berlin and Hanover and Kassel. Later in his visual testimony, Kurt Messerschmidt remembers that the silence is what did the harm. As the bystanders watched, they did more harm than the SS. Um, the book burnings took place on May 10th, 1933, and they raided libraries and bookstores across Germany. And during that night, they marched by torchlight in nighttime parades, sang chants, and threw books into huge bonfires. And on that night, a total of 25,000 books were burned, and they burned anything that defied Nazi ideology. These were where the major book burnings took place, and some places were like Munich down here, and some like Frankfurt over there. In this burned books pile, there was a guy named Heinrich Heine, and he was a German Jewish poet, and one of his plays was burned, and in this play it said, where they burn books, they will ultimately burn people, right here. The book burnings were yet another way to censor what people were allowed to read. Joseph Goebbels influenced the Nazi Party and the Holocaust by being the master of propaganda, organizing Kristallnacht, and rallying people to burn books. Not long before his death, Joseph Goebbels declared, "We shall go down in history as the greatest statesmen of all time, or as the greatest criminals." The war ended in 1945, and Hitler had committed suicide, leaving Goebbels as Chancellor of Germany. But instead of going into his new post on May 1st, 1945, his wife Magda and him gave his 6 children lethal injection before shooting themselves in the head. He died at age 47. And making sure they had no other government than the Third Reich. This is my work cited.